look down to me because you.
Peppa Pig is ass.
Like,
I just had to make that clear. Max and Ruby.
When I was younger, I don't know if it's still going now, but when I was younger, it was fire.
Chat, you're not allowed to go on that man without their
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet.
Ah, babies. Who doesn't love them? Oh, not me, but that's only because I'm grown. Yeah, the only time when I liked babies was during the time when I was inside one. Wait. That's not what I meant. That sounds crazy. What I meant was when I was a literal baby myself. Like, we've all been inside babies before. Wait, hold on. That's not what I meant. When you're a baby, you don't gotta worry about nothing. Someone's already feeding you, bathing you, strolling you around on the street, cleaning the doodle out your pants. You never have any responsibilities for yourself. Being a baby is the new 80. It's awesome! And since we were babies, when we weren't sleeping or swallowing the nearest lethal object, we were playing with toys or watching the preschool shows our parents put on the TV. You know, they changed it to the children's channels. PBS, TBS, CBS, putting on the shows for us toddlers. Well, my parents didn't really do that. I would just watch whatever my siblings were watching, which was Cartoon Network and Disney Channel 99% of the time, and whatever my dad was watching. And he was not watching the most baby-friendly stuff. Like, literally, both me and my dad would fall asleep watching Friday the 13th or something on Showtime. Then at 4 a.m. I'd wake up to Showtime playing straight up corn on the channel. Not even a scene, like it's just a straight up corn movie. And I just stared at it. My balls were still in my stomach, so I ain't feel nothing. But when watching it, I felt like a industry baby, if you catch my drift. In short, I ain't watched that many kid shows. But when I did, I was watching what every other baby was watching. While babies nowadays are looking at their Coco Melon, we Gen Ziggers was watching classics. Classics in the making. The children's programming from back in the day of our babyhoods were some of the greatest, educating us kids on valuable lessons like go brush your teeth or don't be an ass. And I wanted to use the Wayback Machine and reminisce on the very simple times of watching baby shows, talk on how some of them were great and how some of them were the back door to my nightmares. But I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna start this off with a channel that we're all familiar with, Disney Junior. Now, I'm not gonna show that much footage because Disney sucks, but I remember when this channel became a thing. Like, I was like around 8 years old enough to realize the meaning of my existence, but not old enough to have common sense, so I still needed this educational channels. But honestly, thinking about it right now, I don't think I ever watched a show to be educated before. I for real watched a lot of kids' education shows back then, and I don't think I've learned a single thing from any of them. They were teaching us stuff that we already learned at school. Why the hell I need to repeat it at me? That's why back then I barely watched kids shows that would ask you a question and wait 20 years for you to answer. It ruins my immersion of the show. I get less and less attached to the show when they hit me with fourth wall breaks. You ain't supposed to know I'm here. Like, who are you talking to? And after waiting 80 years of them just staring at you, waiting for you to answer, they just assume your answer anyway. So why'd you ask me in the first place? Wasting my time. I had goals as a kid. I had stuff to do, and this show was just wasting my time. Anyway, I forgot Disney Junior. There were a few shows I used to always watch. I remember watching Big Bear in the Big Blue House sometimes. Honestly, this show kind of scared me as a kid because the moon. It reminded me of that molester moon emoji, and that's the most I remember from the show. And I sadly wasn't a Wiggles guy either, but I heard a bunch of songs from them, and not gonna lie, they're pretty great. I've heard a bunch of songs from them, and after hearing them, I can tell you that this is one of the greatest bands of this generation, of any generation. Every song from them makes you hype and go crazy. They're basically the Beatles if they were good. There was also Special Agent Oso, and really the only reason I attempted to watch the show was because Mr. Mosby was playing the wolf on the show, fulfilling my fantasies I had about him, so. But none of those shows were the main shows. The big three of my Disney Junior experience was Handy Manny, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and Little Einstein. Not Miss Stuffins. She ain't no real doctor. She can't get me my BBL. Or Sophia the First. That show's for Atlanta niggas. We all know the deal with Handy Manny. You know, Mexican dude with talking tubes that can fix anything. From a boat, to a chair, to your accident, you name it, we fix it. The characters were fun too. You know, there was this guy who was a complete loser. He had no hairline. He lived with this cat. He was always the butt of the joke. Never had any bitches. Easily the most relatable character on the show. I also remember them adding this new character. It was a flashlight. He only spoke Minion. I don't remember what language he spoke, but they was adorable. Every time they were on screen, they was just like cute like a minion. Then the main man, Manny himself, just being a helpful, handsome guy. He had a girlfriend, at least I think that was his girlfriend. He always had everybody on his back. He was such a Chad. He was such a handsome man. He's just a dandy guy. I like him. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, an automatic classic for the opening and ending songs alone. You know that song, M-I-C-K-E-Y M-O-U-S-C. Oh man, it makes my balls hot, especially that hot diggity dog. Look at Goofy go. Do I need to say more? The only thing I remember this show messing up on was when they gave Toodles a face and a personality. Now he can talk and he can like communicate with us. I don't want this, man. He don't need to speak, bro. It's weird. Like, look at him. He look creepy. Like, if he could speak the whole time, then why didn't he say anything before? He's plotting something. I know it. And then there was Little Einsteins. I just loved it because I'm a bit of a musician myself. You know, I can play piano, trumpet, the recorder, the triforce of instruments. And since I'm a musical genius, of course this show would appeal to someone like me. And honestly, I don't remember what they did on this show. Like, they had a ship, they were talking instruments. Dang, I think that's all I remember. I just remember loving it as a kid. And that theme song, you know, that old meme.
Exactly.
They just don't make them like that no more. But Dizzy Jr. was a great entertainment and education source for children back then, especially me, but it wasn't my favorite. Moving on to a channel that I liked more as a kid, in terms of baby shows, Nick Jr. Nick Jr. I have a lot more memories of as a kid, even though they had some dookie butt shows like Dora and the more boring Diego, but everything else was pretty good. Wonder Pets was pretty lit, although that turtle could go chug a bottle of piss. I still hate turtles. The Backyardigans. Everybody loved this show. And the animals, Tanisha, Pablo, Bart, Jesse, and James. I don't remember their names, but it was such a fun show. You know, the backyard was always transforming and getting new settings, like every single episode. I loved it. My favorite episodes were the jungle episode and the western episode. Max and Ruby. Now, I got mixed feelings on this. I used to watch this show a lot. Like, I enjoyed the show as a kid, but I didn't really like Max all that much when I was young. I didn't really know any better back then. I just saw him making mud cakes and I was just like, ugh, that's gross, there's worms in it, bro. Why are you making that? It wasn't until I got older that I realized that Max was just having fun, man. He was just a young kid just having fun, playing with his toys, making cakes. He was just doing his thing. The real villain of this show, it was Ruby. I'm not gonna get too in detail because then I'll just be stealing this guy's content. Shout out to him. But let me say this. If I was in a room with a bow and arrow with only 2 arrows and there was me, Ruby, I don't even care who else is there. I'm gonna shoot Ruby twice. Ruby was pretty cool too. You know, I like the cat. I like the box characters. My man Steve was drawing like Picasso with just a crayon. The show was nuts until Steve left to buy some cigarettes. What does the new Steve look like again?
Who
the fuck is this?
Peppa Pig. I didn't really watch it because it was British and I was more of a Olivia kind of guy. But I'll admit it, the Peppa Pig album is pretty fire. Like, unironically, it's better than Honestly Trash. And I ain't gonna forget the GOAT. Yo, Gabba Gabba! Yeah. I didn't really watch it that much, but my brothers loved it, and the characters looked nice. Biz Marquis is in like every episode beatboxing, and DJ Lance is so into his character in the show that he's still in his character over 10 years after the show ended. So that's dedication right there. But yeah, I ain't really watched this show as a kid. The most I got from it was that one episode from South Park where Fufa became a thought. That's the most I ever got from it. And my personal favorite Nick Jr. show was Little Bill. Now, ignoring the controversies, this show taught me so many things, like how to talk to girls, how to ask a girl out, and the secret to getting any girl. And thanks to this show, I can say these tips changed my life for the better. Because of these tips, every time I move into a new home, I have to introduce myself to my female neighbors. And under state law, I basically have to tell them how good I am with the ladies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm the risk guy, all because of Little Bill. Alright, moving on from that, I want to talk about my actual favorite shows from back when I was a kindergartner. And back then, I was a huge fan of Thomas the Tank Engine. I love this show so much. It's just something about him. I was addicted to this show. Like, actually, I owned DVDs, had so many train sets and toys. I even wore Thomas the Tank Engine undies. I was wearing this man on my balls. You cannot tell me I'm a fake fan. You can't call me gay either. He's a train. Let him run a train on me. I really do love Thomas the Tank Engine. I consider it a very big part of my babyhood. I think the reason I like this show so much was cause that it was a very chill show. Nothing would happen in your face. The comic books would always be in the island of Sodor, what the train's doing the task that Sir Toppin' Hat would tell them to do, and then a small hiccup happens and then they solve it, learning a lesson maybe in the process. Simple. It was a very simple, chill show, and I like trains. The interactions were always very sweet, and when they weren't, you know when shit was going down, but they would always make amends at the end. This was a show just trying to tell a simple story each episode. It's not like those other baby shows that would constantly break the fourth wall and just start singing out of nowhere or asking you, do you know what 5 plus 5 is?
If you don't talk about it, you're not valid.
My favorite color, green. Like, bro, go lick my nut and gargle it, bro. I hate shows like that. Sometimes us kids just want to be entertained like the grown-ups. We don't want to get constantly talked down to in shows. We already get enough of that in real life. Why would we want that in our entertainment? And Thomas did have learning segments where they would ask us kids questions, but it would be in between episodes. Not the actual episode would have it. It would never get in the way of the actual plot of the episode. This is why I kind of liked Arthur as a kid too, because it ain't interrupt you in the middle of the episode with random questions. We was just enjoying ourselves, learning not to swear, and definitely not wanting to learn how to knit. Arthur was great. I still don't understand that racism episode though. I thought it was just animals in this universe, but black people exist too apparently, and get unfair treatment from the police. But there was no other races that were mentioned, so is it the animals that are the ones being racist? Is it just black people and animals in this universe? What does an interracial baby look like? Okay, I'm gonna stop asking questions. Back to Thomas. I also love how the show only has a narrator. Narrating and doing every voice in the show. I loved it. It made the show feel more common and soothing. I even remember when Alec Baldwin was the narrator for season 5. He was great too. You just had to wear a bulletproof vest every time you watched the show. Not to mention the music. It's out of this world. It has no reason to being that great. And it wasn't just a few good ones here and there, you know, a few good bops. No, every single one. I'm serious too. Every song sounds like it could be one of those classic Disney songs from back in the day. They just also catchy and so good to sing along to. And accidents will happen. One of the greatest songs of all time, top 100, not even fibbing. Listen to it yourself. It's like in 1984 when the show was created. The music team for this show was like, yo, let's only drop classics for the next 20 years. Like we're Kanye West or something. And the whole team responded, who the hell is Kanye West? But they did it anyway. These guys deserve all the Grammys. And that iconic intro, nobody has forgotten that. This is genuinely one of the greatest kid shows of all time. The amount of nostalgia and pure bliss and joy I get from this show, oh man, it cannot be matched. This show is amazing. It is fantastic. Or should I say, was. Because as soon as they went CGI, it was downhill. And only downhill. I was appalled when they switched to style. This happened back in 2009 when I was 6 turning 7. And even back then I hated it. I was all like, why are their mouths moving now? Why are the people moving? Why do they have their own voices? It changed so much. I avoided this new version every time I saw it on TV. I missed it when they were actual toys and it was in reality. This is just weird. It's unnatural seeing them like this. I always hated when kids shows would switch their style just to look more modern. Just look at Bob the Builder. For years he was looking good. He was looking nice because he was in stop motion. Look at Bob go. Woo! Okay, let's see what Bob the Builder looks like now.
Boots check, tool belt check, hard hat check. Bob the Builder.
Who the hell is that? That is definitely not Bob. That dude's name is Bertram. That is not Bob. That is not the same man that I knew from my childhood. This is not my Bob. They doing the same thing with Thomas. It's horrifying. And that ain't even the worst of it. You know the music? how I said it was one of the best songs of all time, you know, it should win all the BET Hip Hop Awards. It's so ass now. Oh my goodness. They changed the whole vibes of the songs, bro. It sounds so terrible, man. It used to be a choir of kids singing, and now it's just... Listen to this!
A special day with all your friends. Seems like it will never end.
This is trash! Who started this, bro? And the new intro is even worse, man. Listen!
Let's go, go, go on a big world adventure.
This is not Thomas sounding music. This shit sound like Paw Patrol, bro. I can't believe they massacred Tony like this, bro. And this is not the reason why I wore you on my balls, man. This is not the show I used to love and enjoy. Stop trying to appease to these kids and appease to me, a grown-ass man. Appeal to me. They ruined it, man. They ruined it. They really turned Thomas the Tank Engine into that freaking bootleg rip-off Thomas the Tank Engine Chuggington. This is honestly one of the worst things that ever happened in humanity. And since I'm over here whining about this children's show, let me talk about one final show real quick. A show that I only remember watching once in my childhood, but that one time alone left a scar that still remains to this day. I was in elementary school, staying up a little late one night, and on a TV, it was on Nick Jr., 24/7 baby content playing all the time. And at around midnight, this new show came on. It was called Ubi. This show was a hand puppet show, but unlike Sesame Street or any other hand puppet show, it was just hands. This show gave me so... Alright, I'm gonna cut the bullshit. The show ain't even that scary. I don't even know why I found this show scary as a kid. It's just hand puppets. Maybe it's their creepy eyes, I don't know. But I'm not gonna try to hype it up to be like scary. I'm gonna sound like one of those like SpongeBob Theory channels or whatever. It's also because this show made me raise a lot of questions. Like, how do they eat? How do they swallow their food? Where does it go? How do they use the bathroom? Do they have holes? How do they fight? How are their eyes attached to their hands? How do they put on rings? When they high-five each other, did they just kiss? Did they just have intercourse on screen? How do they even do it in this universe? And if they do it, do they wear gloves for protection? So, how do they wear the gloves? Wouldn't that just cover their eyes? Where do their bodies end? There's actual people in this universe. What do they see below their hands? How do they drive cars in this universe? What is pushing the gas pedal? How does anything get done in this universe? I didn't like how many questions this show had me asking. That one time I watched this show was a life-changing and threatening experience for me as a child. And I hope no kid had to experience the nightmares I did because of this show.
Wild.
I've grown a lot since I was a jit. I'm never saying that again. I've grown in hair, length, size, but most importantly, I've grown in mind. And I don't think I would be the person I am today if it weren't for these children's shows. Well, mostly only Thomas and Little Bill, but the rest were here too. If I forgot to mention a show, I just didn't watch it as a kid. That's just the way it turned out for me. I love reminiscing about old times and old childhood memories. It makes me feel less old. And since we're towards the end of the video, I did not expect this video to be as long as it is. But that just shows how dedicated I am to this topic. And in conclusion, free Bill Cosby! It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know. I don't need
I'm upset with the amount of shows he made.
You know what I'm saying?